Hi, I'm Rick at Rick Turns, and today's video is... Hi, I'm Rick Morris. This is the Rick Turns channel. And if you're not seeing it on the Rick Turns channel, it's been stolen and posted somewhere else. Before we get started on today's project, I'd like to mention the Record Power wood turning contest that's going on. I believe right now it is restricted to the United States entries because Record is trying to get some more awareness of their products in the United States. And you have to turn your item using a Record chuck, which has kind of brought up the question is, gee, why should I go out and buy a Record chuck to enter a wood turning contest that will win me a Record chuck? Okay, well, if you take a look at the contest on the website, recordpower.com, the prizes are fairly substantial. The top prize is a lathe, the dust collection system, and a complete set of wood turning chucks. Also, it is not necessary to send in a picture of yourself holding the original packaging for your Record chuck, since after all, once you buy a chuck, you don't really keep the original packaging. That is a preferred thing with the contest, but it has absolutely no effect on the contest. You don't have to send that in, so just be aware of that. And finally, Record has just announced a second wood turning contest that is open to anyone regardless of whether you use a Record Power chuck or not. And if you'd like to enter that contest, and it ends on April the 30th, I believe, just go ahead and send in your entry. And when you send it in, there's an email address, I believe. Just mark it as saying competition number 2. That will get into the second competition that extends through April the 30th. Okay, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Well, I've got a piece of cherry here, and it's about 9 inches across this way and probably 10 inches this way. I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn an on-center, off-center bowl. Now, how do you do that? Well, the first part of the center is going to be right in here. And then the off-center part, this part is going to be on-center. The off-center part, I'm going to put it on my off-center chuck, or jig, and turn it like this. And turn like maybe 2 or 3 lines in there that I'll cut in with a parting tool. And then I'm going to fill those with white Milliput putty. I will be mounting this on the lathe initially with woodworm screw. I'm going to drill a hole right there in the center, and then I'm going to put it on this. This is my Record Power SC4 chuck, and they're, all right, stay stable here. This is my Record Power SC4 chuck, their woodworm screw, and 130 millimeter jaws. This is the first time I've used their 130 millimeter jaws. For years I've been using a one-way chuck, the Stronghold, with 100 millimeter jaws. This is a full inch wider, and that's from here to here. When I expand it, it'll be even wider still. But the wider I can get it for that initial chucking where it goes in right there, the better. And so, I'm going to use this. First thing I'm going to do is slice off some of this right here, just to make the turning a little bit faster. Looks like I might have a crack in there. This might not work. It doesn't go all the way through, but I'll find out once I get it on the lathe. So I'm going to slice off a piece down there, and then I'm going to cut it round on the bandsaw. So let's get started with that. All right, for the first mount, we got my SC4 chuck with 130 millimeter jaws on it, and a woodworm screw. And this is going to go in the woodworm screw. That's about 500 RPM. Going to be using my 5/8 inch bowl gouge here. And now I want to mark it for my chuck. And since I've been known to make stupid mistakes before, let's see. That looks just about right. I should be able to do that just measuring, but hey. I want to keep that center point right there. So I'm marking it a little bit better. I'm right about 1,000 RPM. I'm reverse chucked into my SC4 with 75mm deep jaws. I'm going to surface this off. Still got a 7/8 inch bowl gouge and about 1,000 RPM. Now let me see. This is my off-center jig. It's the Ron Brown off-center #2 chuck, but it's really a jig for your chuck and not a real chuck. So this is my closest in point. This is my farthest out point. So I want to go to the closest end point right about here. Now I'm going to adjust the off-centerosity. All right, that's on center. My first circle was right there. Going to do another 2 holes for my second circle right there. All right, it's about 350 RPM. Okay, that's good. Now, I'm going to adjust the off-center jig back to where it was to begin with in hole #2 to cut this other groove. All right, I'm back on my first setting now. Going to cut another groove in. It's going to overlap this one right here and go right around there, if I've got it right. Okay, this is the first time I've used Milliput. Now this is white epoxy, And I guess not surprisingly, both sticks look white. So I'm going to cut that off. And mix these together. I'm going to call that done. I'm going to get off a little bit here. Roll it out into a thin strip. Well, it's taken about half of that epoxy that I had, and I'm just about done here. I'm trying to jam it down all the way down to the bottom of that groove, which is deeper in some places than it is in others. All right, that's it for the epoxy. Didn't have too much left over. Back on the lathe. Now I got to cut all this excess epoxy putty away and then do some final finishing. Rough it, smooth the surface out a good bit, and then I'll go on to sanding. About 1,000 RPM. Well, that's looking pretty good. I'm going to switch to a shear scraper. This is my homemade shear scraper. Got a carbide blade on it now. But the cutter here is mounted at about 45 degrees to the flats here, so you get a good shear scraping angle. Oh boy. Obviously I should have made the cuts deeper down on this end, but I don't know. Maybe people will think I intended to do it that way. Sanding's all done. I'm reverse chuck now on my really big faceplate. You'll find a link to that up in the upper right corner of the video, and also down in the video notes. So now I just need to remove this tenon. I'm going to switch to a little bit smaller gouge. This is a bowl gouge, 1/2 inch, just to get rid of all this. That's about 900. And when I'm working on this really big faceplate, the grip is, of course, right up against here. So it's just a pressure fit there. So I'm always going to be cutting in pretty much. Any cuts I make across this way are going to be very light. And I'm going to switch to a very small gouge to narrow this down a little bit more. And now it's off to the workbench to remove that. Just need to chisel this off. There's not much wood down there to go through. And there we have that. And now I'm going to sand this off. And pretty close to being done. All right, got the bottom finished up here. Going to put my stamp on here. Yay! Spray just a little bit of lacquer on the bottom right there, because otherwise my finish, when I wipe it on, not good. It'll smear it all over the place, even if I let it dry overnight. Yeah. Okay. What I'm going to be using here is this Total Boat Halcyon Rugged Amber Gloss Varnish. And this has got three things, really good things going for it. First of all, it's in a flexible bag. So once you've used some, squeeze the bag to get the level up here, cap it, and then you're not going to get a skin forming on it. The varnish is going to last a lot longer. Secondly, it's water-based, so it's really easy to clean up. And thirdly, possibly because it's water-based, it dries in an hour. Ha! That's great for me. I usually put on 4 coats of a thin varnish. I'm going to try this at full strength. Again, my last time didn't work, but I don't think I was using a proper brush for it. And we're going to see how this works out at full strength. If not, I can always go back to diluting it. But I like this. Water-based varnishes, the ones I've used anyway, generally do not darken the wood any. Now, some people might like that, of course. I don't. I like that little bit of darkening you get with oil or varnish or whatever. I could put on a sanding sealer first, I guess. Okay, not going to take much to cover this little thing. And squeeze it to get the level up here and cap it off. Here we are. Okay, it's not leaving brush marks right now. Put it down. Get a little more underneath here, like this. And get some in here. All right, see you in an hour. 3 coats later, finish is done. Turned out fairly well. I think I might go back to diluting it a little bit easier that way, even though it takes more coats to build up a good finish. But putting it on full strength worked okay using a foam brush. When I tried it in my last bowl video, I was using a bristle brush. Didn't work okay at all, and that was my fault. Anyway, bowl turned out all right overall. We got the nice little lines through here. I really wanted them to go all the way around, but I made a mistake there. Cut it, I sloped this down a little bit too much and cut away some of my milliput. But the bowl turned out all right. Not great, but all right. And I'll see you next video.